So I study history because history has different patterns that happen, and there's likely to be similar patterns that play out later on in the future. And I've studied Alexander the Great because he was a tactical military genius. And I want to explain about the Battle of Granicus and some of the strategies that Alexander the Great used then to succeed against superior opposition. And I want to correlate that to the current political environment that I have some grave concerns about, especially the promotion of the woke ideology. So in the Battle of Granicus, which is in Turkey, it's actually a river. Alexander the Great crossed over the Hellespont into what is now modern-day Turkey. The Persian Empire, King Darius sent his general Aristides to combat Alexander the Great, and he had superior forces. But Alexander the Great realized that the way they fought was the leadership stuck behind the regular military. And a couple issues with that was because the Persian military was such a massive element, it was hard to control. And one of the things that Alexander the Great did is he stretched out his forces in such a way that the massive army in between the general had to get thinner because Alexander extended his flanks. And once he saw an opening, he crushed into that opening and he attacked the leadership directly. And so my first strategy when going against the woke ideology is I believe that we need to address the leadership directly. Because in this case, what happened was the leadership folded, and once the leadership folded, there wasn't command and control. And after he folded, the rest of the military folded. So I think one of the things we need to do is we need to directly address the leadership. The second thing that happened is the Persian army was supported by a lot of hoplites, and they were basically Greek mercenaries. And after the Battle of Granicus, Alexander gathered all the hoplites, the Greek mercenaries, and he said, how could you betray your own people to a life of servitude for what? And he had a handful of coins, and he said, for this, for greed, you'll betray your own brethren. And he called him out, and he was not remorseful. And I think one of the things that happens with the woke ideology is I think there's a lot of people that are afraid, and they understand some of it's pretty oppressive. But I also think there's a segment of society that understands it's oppressive, but out of their own greed, they participate and promote. And to me, those are the mercenary hoplites. And I think we should be just as aggressive in our advocacy towards the leadership of the ideology, as well as the hypocrites that they finance their own pockets at others' expense and liberties. So that's the way I believe one of the ways we should advocate. We should follow similar type of patterns that Alexander set in the Battle of Granicus.